Alright, completely lame. I started recording this video, got pretty far into it, and then my Firefox completely janked on me. So, let's take it from the top. So, my friend Amy and Chris and I went to Marge's last night to see Tributosaurus do the second half of Rubber Soul, the 4 singles in between Rubber Soul and Revolver, and all of Revolver. It was lovely. It was more than lovely. It was fantastic. Amy and I walked home from Martyrs. We get just north of Berteau on Damon, and on the other side of the street is a car smashed into a tree. I mean, smashed. And pretty much what it looks like is, this is what it looks like. Drunk driver smashes the car into a tree and goes, yeah, we don't want to get caught by the cops. We better get the hell out of here. That's what it looks like. I mean, so I'm like, I'm going to call the police and tell them about this. So I call 311. It's not an emergency. And, of course, 311 transfers you to 911. I don't know that I've ever called 311 when they don't transfer you to 911. I'm like, what's the point of 311? Except for to say, like, my gas is out. So I call, and I'm like, here's the deal, blah, blah, blah. Here's where I am. And then I'm like, do you want the license plate number? She's like, I'll take it. I'll run it, see, make sure it's not stolen. And she says there's no tow pending. Make a note of this, Perry Mason fans. There's no tow pending. And so that's that, right? Just as we're crossing the street walking away, these 3 frat bros walk up, drunk out of their minds. I was shocked. I was like, why would you come back to the scene of the crime, in my mind? And one of them was like, hey, that's his car. Laugh, laugh, laugh. We're going to start this. We're going to try to drive away. No, really, that's his car, they say. I'm like, okay. Thinking, like, why would you admit to this? But what else? We walk away, and he's like, do you think, like, we should call and tell someone that they're trying to drive away? I'm like, this car is going nowhere. Like, no one's driving this car anywhere. And she's like, well, really, what if they get it started? I'm like, get it started? I'm like, did you look at this car? And, but she's like, what, I'm like, well, if you want me to call again, I'll call again. Like, that's fine. So I call, I'm like, but, the other thing is, like, I wanted to walk away from these guys because I didn't want them to know that we had called the cops on them, basically. I didn't know it was them at the time, but, like, there's 3 drunk frat boys. Like, there's 2 of us. We're small, we're older, we're women, like, So I'm not going to be able to run away from these dudes. So we walk away, and I kind of like, hey, just so you know, I'm calling back again. I'm at, this address. The dudes are back. Like, they're drunk. They claim they're going to drive away in this car. Even though, like, I really was like, there's no way they're going anywhere in the car. They're like, okay, well, whatever. We'll send the, I said, I called earlier, the police are coming, but, just so you know, maybe you can catch them or whatever. So we wait and watch. Cops come by, roll up. When the cops get there, then dudes kind of finally see that the cops are there, and they start walking away from the car. Adios. Like, start strolling nonchalantly away from the car. Cops kind of look at the car, and then I'm like, are they really not going to do anything right now? Like, they see these guys by this car. Like, this is not, like, coincidental, I don't feel. So guys start strolling away. Finally, cops like drive up next to them, catch them at the corner, and there's a convo. Convo. Dudes walk up and sit on the porch, the stairs of this house, right on the corner, and cops do a U-E. And we look at each other like, really? That's it? Like, there's a combo, and no one's gonna get in trouble for this? And they pull a U-E, and I'm like, Amy, there's your chance. Like, here comes the cop. Like, if you want to, like, step out into the street and talk to him. So she does. And, she basically is like, well, we called because they said they were going to drive away, and we wanted, to make sure they weren't going to drive away or whatever. Cop says what I said, which is, that car is not going anywhere. And, and he's like, this is what he says. Yeah, well, he told me that he has been in an exam since 7 o'clock this morning. And, earlier, someone had hit an animal in the road, and, the car spun out and hit his car. And, a police report's been filed. And, he got home and he just saw his car just now. And he was like, man, my car is fucked up. He was just looking at it and been like, wow, I see my car and it's really fucked up. And I'm listening to this. I'm listening to the cop tell his story. And I'm like, this is how I am the whole time. I'm like, what? Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, that's the story he gives you. And that's the story you believe. And that's it. Then you don't do anything else. You never ask them for their ID. Nothing. That's the exchange that you guys have. You roll up, you ask him what's up. He tells you that cockamamie story, and they go and sit on that porch. Which, in the telling of this story, I was like, that probably wasn't even their house. That could have not been even their house. He's like, do you have a question, ma'am? And I'm like, because he's a cop, so I'm intimidated. I'm like, no. And he said it was a police report filed. So I was like, maybe there was a police report. Like, I was like, so like frozen. It's like when you get in a fight with a boyfriend or like a fight with a friend or whatever. And then like the second they leave afterwards, you're like, yeah, I should have said like 1,000 things right then. And I was like, no, I guess not. Like, I'm going to challenge this cop. But like I said, if even one of them had been black, Latino, Indian, Asian, their hands would have been on that Mercedes. No questions asked. Like, that would have been happening. 100%. They would have been not strolling away from that car. It would not have been a conversation with the cops in the SUV at the corner with them talking to them. Like, no. Hands on the Mercedes, boys. What are you doing? Did you steal this car? What happened? Are you wasted? Oh, clearly you're wasted. You're going down to the cop shop on Lincoln and Bryn Mawr. Do you know what I'm saying? So the second he rolls away, I'm like, redo. Yeah, I have questions. I have about 9 questions for you. So we're in the middle of North Center. If this happened earlier in the day, why is this car still here? No one else called? No one called the cops? No one... There is no tow pending? He didn't call anybody? Mom, Dad? His Mercedes is smashed? No one's insurance is paying for this. There's been no tow pending to get his car off the street after someone hit an animal on the road and crushed his car into a tree. There's been no tow pending. Really? That's curious. The person whose yard you smashed into their tree, they didn't call the cops? And if your car's been parked on the street, if you've been in an exam since 7 in the morning, why were the windows rolled down in your car? How did the tire get in the back seat? The trunk is open and the mirror, I think the trunk probably, who knows? I don't know how the trunk got open and the mirror got in there. But why were the windows rolled down? The windows were rolled down, Your Honor, because they were driving in it, and it was a beautiful night. That's why the windows were rolled down, and they were wasted. Right? I mean, I just can't explain. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. I mean, this thing was smashed into a tree. Smashed. Really? Did this really happen? I mean, did the guy run a police report? I mean, they sat and talked to these guys, like, for as long as it might have taken to tell that story to them, to the cops. But that's it. Like, there's no way they ran. Did they run? Did they run the police report with the license plate number? Is that possible? I mean, I guess I almost want to know. I almost want to take that license plate number and see. I mean, is that public knowledge? Can I find out if a police report was really filed? But it just seems so unbelievable. You know what I mean? It's like, right? Isn't that Occam's razor? Like, the most simple answer is the right answer, which is you were drunk and crashed into a tree, not you've been in class since 7 in the morning and someone hit an animal on the road and smashed into your car and you just got home and found your car smashed up. Right? It's like, look, I've been in the coffee club for 9 years. You can't bullshit a bullshitter. Like, that just is the most ridiculous story I've ever heard. And that the cops decided to go, I'm sure they did not want to deal with it. They were no longer in the car. They seemingly had hurt no one but themselves and their vehicle. They were no longer able to drive that car, right? The car was going nowhere. But it's like, they could have killed somebody, right? Is there no consequences for that? Because I guarantee you there would have been consequences for someone of color. Big consequences. And there were no consequences for the trio of people I saw last night. None. They walked away. And I think that's kind of bullshit, you know what I mean? And again, I might be completely wrong. Maybe that story was true. But I don't know. I'm going to post the video I took of that car, and you can be the judge. You can be the judge of whether or not you think that story is true or not. But like I said, if it happened earlier in the day, I can't believe no one else had called. No, everyone in that neighborhood just let that car sit there and was like, oh, well, no big deal. Yeah, I know we let things go in the city, but no one, you wouldn't let that go in the city, and you wouldn't let that go in that neighborhood. There's no way. There's no way. So, drama in North Center, mystery in North Center, you be the judge.